these are oopsies. They're not videos that I'm going to show. They're just like little stories, tales, and they're true stories. Um, I am Catholic. I'm proud to be Catholic. Um, some religious people might not find it humorous. So you can choose to look away from this video and choose not to look at it or watch it. It's up to you. But I believe the Lord has humor. And what I mean is, in my past experience, when I was young and I went to church, I always found it to be boring and I would fall asleep like, oh, is it almost over? And I chose to praise like, Lord, when I get older, please make church entertaining and fun, um, and understanding. And yeah, that's real selfish to me when I was little. And I found that the Lord brings sense of humor to entertain us, but not just that, but He answered my prayers. Something funny always happens in church, and He makes it enjoyable for me when I go to church. Um, Good example, when we were at church, um, usually pastors or priests or fathers, they usually wear a little mic when they're preaching to us and reading from the Bible or giving their ministry to us. Well, there was this instance we were all sitting in church waiting for the priest to come out. And I think this priest forgot to turn off his mic because I believe it was a cordless mic. And what was so funny about it was we heard water and we're like looking around like, okay, where's that water coming from? We're all looking around. And then all of a sudden it sounded like someone was peeing and you can hear someone peeing. And we're like all looking at each other like, do we hear what we think we hear? And I looked at my husband and go, no. And then all of a sudden we heard a toilet flush. I mean, the whole church could hear the toilet flush. And we're like, oh my gosh, the priest forgot to turn off his mic. So the priest, before he was going to come out to, give us ministry or preach to us, turned out to forget to turn off his mic. And I think he probably found out later, but it was so hilarious. We're all laughing and giggling. He's just wondering, why is everybody looking at me or laughing and giggling? And I mean, thank goodness we heard him wash his hands. But it was like hearing a radio station, and it was just so hilarious. It's something that you would not plan, but it perked us up in church, and we were all laughing and giggling. We thought that was funny. So to me, that was one thing that the Lord brought to wake us up in church or bring a little humor to it. Another experience that I had was we were going to baptize one of our kids. And in order to baptize, you have to go to Bible study, at least take some courses. And I'm not a good reader. And as you can tell in my videos, my words get stuck, or when I'm trying to talk, my tongue gets all twisted. Well, I have trouble reading just as well. And I also am, or used to be, very naive. And I think that's one thing my husband loved about me, because I was childish and I was a kid at heart, and I still am. But I was very naive back then. And I'm not as naive now like I was back then. Well, there was a Bible verse, and I don't recall what it was, but my husband, he could read me, and he knew this verse I was reading, what I was about to say. And his look, like, I didn't understand why he was making looks, and he was like, oh, no, she's going to do it. And the priest is right behind me. And it was a verse I was reading, da, da, da. And then genitals. Mind you, back then I didn't know what genitals were. I do now. I definitely do now. It was Gentiles. And everybody was quiet, and they dropped their mouth because they couldn't believe I said genitals. And it was supposed to be Gentiles in this verse. And the priest looked, and everybody looked at him like, oh, is he going to get mad at her or what? And he noticed I was very naive and innocent that he just kind of smirked and giggled along with it. I didn't get to see it. My husband did. And everybody's relieved, and they started giggling and laughing because what he noticed is I just kept on reading, and I had a very serious face because I was so nervous of reading. I was like, da 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 da. Hope I'm doing okay. Am I reading? All right. Yes, I'm done with my reading, and I did just fine. Well, lo and behold, my husband told me after, because he didn't, you know, want me to get embarrassed in front of everybody. But he told me, sweetie, do you know what genitals are? I go, the verse from the Bible. And he said, no, babes. They are, I think he said testicles or something. The guy is private. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not say that. And he goes, yeah, you did, sweetie. And the priest, we all looked at him, and we were all nervous that he was going to get mad at you. And basically, the priest laughed and giggled. So to me, that was another humor that made the class very not so boring, and it made it a little bit entertaining. Mind you, I didn't do it to do entertain, but to me, that was one way for him, to do that, to make me feel comfortable in the classroom and make me feel relieved and be accepted by everybody. Um, and to go on, let me go one more story. Okay, this one happened on Easter. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Yeah, Easter vacation. And so what happened was we have sunrise for Easter, and so the priest has something going on outside. He'll have the ministry outside so we can see the sunrise. Um, Mind you, um, they have to have a mic. Like, see how I have a mic and it has to be hooked up to the computer? Well, when I went up to go get my confession, my communion bread, I went like this, and of course I got it and said amen. Well, the priest talks on a mic, and he was talking on the mic, and it was real long. See how long this wire is? Mind you, when I was walking, I had some flip-flop sandals. And my flip-flop sandals, if you can see my finger, say these are my little toes, they got caught. Well, mind you, I yanked the cord out of the the wall outside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. And my daughter behind me, she's all giggling and laughing. She goes, only mom would do something like that. And I'm looking around like, hey, where was the plug? Where can I plug it in? And my husband just shoved me. Keep going, Mandy. Just keep going. The priest is looking and talking. And you can't hear him because I kicked the cord out of the wall where he couldn't speak and nobody could hear him. And the priest and everybody's all looking around like, well, how come nobody can hear me? What's wrong with the mic? Hello? Hello? And mind you, if I was courageous, I would have went up there. Excuse me, but I kicked the plug out of the wall, and I don't know where it unplugs. And mind you, there's this big old speaker and all this has all these certain plugs and gadgets, and I wanted to go over there. My husband goes, no, stay away from there. Knowing you, Mandy, just you probably might unplug something else, and you'll mess it up more. They'll figure it out. So the priest was doing a, thank goodness it was towards the end, but the priest was doing a ceremony towards the end. Uh, at the end, um, and thank goodness it happened at the end. And that's, oh, no, I have one more. This Easter, something happened. It was moist on Easter, and of course we had another sunrise. I had high heels. Said, I am not going to wear sandals. And this time, I am not going to mess up in church. Well, mind you, I said that to myself. And I should have prayed because I needed lots of prayers. Well, I wore heels, yeah. What happens when grass is moist and the dirt is moist and it's morning? The soil is very soft. Mind you, me and other ladies, when we were walking down the aisle outside on the grass, our heels were getting stuck in the grass. We're walking and we're yanking our heels out.